The prairie wind howled like a ghost through the Montana hills that crisp October night in 1892. Eleanor Thompson stood on the weathered porch of her Lazy T ranch, staring out at the rolling grasslands bathed in moonlight. At 56, she'd spent 4 years alone after burying her husband, Ben, to a brutal fever that swept through the valley. Her hand rested on the Winchester rifle propped against the rail. Strangers at midnight rarely meant good news in these parts. From the shadows came the thud of hooves, steady and urgent. A rider materialized, tall and rugged, his Stetson casting a shadow over eyes that gleamed like river stones. His horse was spent, foaming at the mouth, and a dark stain spread across his right arm where lead had torn through fabric and flesh. "Ma'am," he rasped, voice gravelly from dust and pain. "Name's Wyatt Harlan. My mount's about done in, and so am I. Can I trouble you for a spot in your barn? I'll pay." Eleanor's pulse quickened. She'd sworn off foolish notions after Ben's death, convinced her days of heartache and heat were buried with him. But this stranger young, maybe 35, with a jaw set like iron, stirred something deep and forgotten. His gaze held hers, raw and pleading, and against every instinct she nodded. "One night, stable the horse and come inside. That arm needs tending." She should have sent him packing toward Billings, to the saloons where outlaws drown their sins. Instead, she watched his broad frame cross her threshold, filling the empty house with a presence that made the air thicken. "You're hit bad," she said, lighting the lantern in the kitchen. He eased into a chair, shrugging off his shirt with a wince. Scars crisscrossed his torso, badges from brawls and bad luck. Eleanor boiled water, grabbed rags, and ignored the way her fingers trembled as she cleaned the wound. His skin was warm, alive, and when he flinched under her touch, a spark jumped between them, electric, unwelcome. "What brings a man like you to these hills?" she asked, wrapping the bandage tight. "Trouble," he admitted, his smile crooked and dangerous. "The kind that sticks like burrs. Been drifting since I lost everything back east." Eleanor tied off the cloth in silence. For years of widowhood had sharpened her senses to men like him, charming, haunted, lethal. But as he thanked her with those piercing eyes, her resolve cracked just a fraction. "Guest rooms down the hall. One night, remember." He nodded and vanished upstairs. Alone, Eleanor stared at the bloodied rag, heart pounding. What madness had she let in? Outside, owls hooted in the pines, and she wondered if loneliness had finally broken her. Dawn broke with the crack of an axe. Eleanor peered out the window to see Wyatt, shirtless and sweating, chopping firewood in the yard. Muscles rippled under sun-kissed skin, and she felt a flush she hadn't known in years. Pouring coffee, she carried breakfast out, trying to act casual. "Figured I'd pull my weight," he said, wiping his brow. Their eyes locked over the steaming mug, and Eleanor felt a pull she couldn't name. They spent the day side by side. Wyatt calmed her skittish stallion with a whisper and firm hands, then fixed the sagging corral fence like he'd built it himself. Eleanor caught herself watching the way his Levi's clung to his legs, the easy sway of his hips. It was infuriating she was old enough to be his mother, or damn near. Society would call it scandalous, whisper about her behind fans in town. But out here alone, rules felt distant. "You're handy," she said as they watched the sun dip behind the Rockies, painting the sky in fire. "Had my own spread once," he replied, voice laced with sorrow. "Lost it to floods and the damn railroad barons. Been hiring on ever since." "I'm sorry." The words slipped out. "Don't be. Life deals the hand." He turned, face etched with shadows. "What about you?" "Husband goes to the war." Fever took him slowly, crueler than a bullet. Eleanor surprised herself with the raw truth. "Left me this place and a heap of memories." That evening, she cooked stew for two, the first shared meal since Ben's grave. They talked ranch life, beef prices, harsh winters, the thrill of a good roundup. Wyatt's laugh echoed in the quiet house, chasing away ghosts. But as she poured whiskey, he said, "I ought to ride out tomorrow." Her heart twisted. Ought to? The question hung heavy-loaded. His hand brushed hers, calluses rough against her skin. Eleanor. Her name from his lips was a spark to dry tinder. She was 56, sensible, scarred by loss. Yet when Wyatt looked at her like she was the only woman in Montana, desire flooded back, fierce and unbidden. The second night brought a storm rolling in from the west, thunder shaking the timbers, rain lashing the windows like fury. They stood on the porch, wind whipping their clothes, air charged with ozone and tension. "Never seen a blow like this," Wyatt murmured, inches away. His heat cut through the chill. "Prairie storms," she replied, "wild and fleeting, like some folks." He faced her, eyes dark with hunger. "You're not fleeting, Eleanor. You're solid as these hills. And damn if you don't make a man forget his troubles." "I'm too old for games, Wyatt. Too worn for whatever this is." Her voice cracked, defenses crumbling. "You're everything," he growled, pulling her close. The kiss exploded, gentle at first, then devouring. Rain soaked them as hands roamed, exploring curves she'd hidden away. Society be damned. This was raw, real. He lifted her, carrying her inside, where lamplight danced on skin as they shed clothes. Wyatt's touch was reverent, tracing every line time had etched, making her feel desired, powerful. As he moved above her, whispers of beautiful and mine mingled with thunder. Eleanor shattered in his arms, waves of pleasure crashing over years of drought. But doubt not, was this pity? A young man's fling with a desperate widow? The thought stung, fueling a mix of ecstasy and rage. Afterward, tangled in sheets, she traced his scars. "What now?" "Don't know," he admitted, fingers in her silver-streaked hair. "But I want more than one night." Morning shattered the illusion. U.S. Marshals thundered up the drive, badges flashing in the sun. Eleanor's stomach dropped as they called out, "Wyatt Harlan, you're under suspicion for the Great Northern Train heist up in Helena." Wyatt emerged from the barn, hands raised. "I didn't touch that gold, Marshal. My old crew Dee Dee tried to stop him. Turned myself in to the sheriff in Butte." The lead marshal eyed his papers. "Witnesses back your story. You're cleared. But those bandits' kin have a bounty on you. Best lay low." As they rode off, Wyatt faced Eleanor, regret etched deep. "I should have come clean." "Damn right," she snapped, fury boiling. "How dare he hide this? Outlaw blood, risking her home, her heart." Arguments flared her, accusing him of using her, him swearing it was real. The betrayal burned, making her question every tender moment. Was she a fool, blinded by loneliness? The tension peaked, voices raised, until exhaustion hit. But in his eyes, she saw truth, a good man haunted by bad choices. "I ain't perfect, Eleanor, but with you I want to be." She stared at her land, 3,000 acres of grass and grit, dreams rebuilt from ashes. Ben had taught her love. Wyatt reignited it. Scandal or not, age be damned, she deserved this. "Stay," she said finally. "Work the ranch. Earn your place." His grin was dawn-breaking. Wouldn't want it easy. That night, on the porch under a star-strewn sky, his arm around her, cattle lowing in the distance, Eleanor felt whole. "Still think you're too old for this?" he teased. She smiled. "I'm just the right age to know real love when it rides in." As the moon rose over the lazy T, Eleanor knew second chances weren't for the young, and reckless they were for those wise enough to seize them. What do you think about Eleanor's choice to forgive Wyatt and let him stay, despite his outlaw past and their age difference? Share your stance in the comments below. Do you see it as empowering or risky? Let's hear your views.